Welcome to AI Insider. Today we will be talking about movies. Our guest Steven, how are you, Steven? Is going to be answering the guest questions. Well, Steven, let's talk about blockbuster movies. What makes a great blockbuster movie?
Well, in my opinion, I think what makes a great blockbuster film is the main hero. And what that is that the problem with most blockbusters these days is that they tend to make the main hero like a superhero kind of thing. And granted, superhero movies are still, really great. But the thing is that they don't make them identifiable. Like a lot of people, when they go to see movies, they need to identify with the characters. They need to have some kind of element to them that makes them relatable to what they're going through in real life. That's what makes you invested in a movie. And so you get like movies like, Die Hard, one of my favorite franchises in cinema. Die Hard was great because, in the first one, even from the first one and the third one are basically my favorites because it actually shows him as a flawed character. It didn't show him as like a superhero or anything like that. Superheroes are great, but to me, it's just, you need something a little bit more identifiable for the audience to be more invested on the hero's journey. But as far as that goes, I think that was one of the biggest flaws with the last Die Hard film because, first off, they didn't get the character, to where he was in the original. They made him seem like more gloomy and just didn't have that little spark, that little, that smart aleck attitude that he had. And they also made him like to where he just was like, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like just that survive could just survive anything that a superhero can. Yeah, there you go. And like there was a scene in Die Hard 5 where I guess he was driving a truck and then the truck like trips over and just like plummets over an abundance of cars, and then he gets out. There's not like a scratch on him. I think a lot of those times that's one of the main problems with blockbusters. So you need to have a character that is just as many flaws as a regular person. Another key element is story. If you don't have good story, you don't have anything. Now, granted, yes, it's true that story has been made. Each story formula has been done repeatedly in Hollywood, to where it's basically impossible to come up with some kind of new formula. But with that being said, it's all about execution nowadays. Execution is what is really makes people more invested now. You can take simple story of a hero's wife gets kidnapped and he's on a pursuit to go save his wife. We've heard that story millions of times before, but if you execute it in a different way, say like in Quentin Tarantino style, where it's just like multiple stories jumbled in together and just executed very differently, you still have a great movie. And so, great story is definitely key elements. A lot of people nowadays confuse, big fancy action sequences, like as far as computer, just computer graphics and all that stuff. They think that could easily replace story, and it just can't. It just becomes boring afterwards. So yeah, definitely story, characters, just those two things are what really make you invested into a blockbuster. It doesn't matter how much big of a budget is. You can have the minimalist of budgets, and it would still come out great.
Okay, there are several upcoming blockbusters this year to the movie theaters, and can you talk to us about them and how? I don't know, what do you think about them?
Well, first off, we got Captain America: Civil War coming out. I'm not what you call a huge fan of the Marvel movies, but I still enjoy them, and I think the whole clash. We've been having like a bunch of superheroes clashing it out this year with Batman v Superman, and now this one. But yeah, I think this one will be a little bit more successful because Marvel has always seemed to be more competent in storytelling than DC has. Not all the time, but way more than DC has. As far as another one, Ghostbusters, a lot of people have been giving that movie a lot of hate, actually. Yes, I can understand. The trailer didn't look all that great, but then again, it also received very undeserving hatred because I guess the whole cast is now female instead of male, and that has been made quite clear that has been a problem with the demographic, and I think that's just ridiculous, to be honest with you, because the director of this film is Paul Feig, and he created some of the funniest films the past 5 years, so I think that's going to be a huge advantage to this new remake.
Okay. What about DC Comics? You
DC Comics, it's hit and miss. I mean, they had like great ones like The Dark Knight, but this recent one is just a little, a little too. That had its flaws, but it was passable.
Okay. Well, after a short break, our guest Steven will continue answering our questions about films and the film industry.
You did good, man.
Ari, leave camera 3 alone. We're almost off break, bro. Get out of here, Ari.
Okay, I'm done. All right, come on.
Security.
Okay. Okay.
Which camera?
Which camera we?
You're the one right there.
This one. Okay.
Tell me which camera we starting on.
Clayton.
Gosh,
This camera.
what camera we starting with? Gotta have a professional arm.
So, can somebody take a still so I can show it to my FB friends?
See.
Actually, that's a good idea.
No. Oh, I was joking. Okay, thank you.
Alright, still listening. I'm not on camera.
Hey, do y'all really need security?
Security.
Yeah, is there a problem in here?
Oh my god.
Too late.
There is a major problem.
Just let us know. We got you.
Alright. We have security on site if we need it.
He's very passive security. Are you sure you're okay?
I know.
You're not
Right.
okay?
Maybe he's one of those people that he doesn't really used to me. Alright, coming up with camera 1.
Huh. Where?
Alright, 5 minutes.
Oh, Jesus.
5
I
minutes?
thought we were going up 30 seconds.
Yeah, what happened to 30 seconds?
He said 5 minutes if I'm coming up on camera 1.
Thought it was 5 seconds. Okay, so welcome back, and then welcome back. Stephen,
I know.
Hollywood industry has been known for its lack of originality, and some people have complained about it. Every year there have. I won't have to do that on there.
Just say like a lack
Yeah.
of originality and
Every year there are new blockbuster films coming, and they happen to be sequels, reboots of pre-existing.
and what are your
material.
thoughts on it?
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and then I'll just go like, yeah, I agree, and there needs to be more originality in films.
No, you can keep that for later.
Okay.
First is, I think they are good because we can experience.